some kind of a rusty programmer, but some kind of, let's say, very clean coding style. Nowadays, I'm doing a lot around DevOps and agile coaching. I'm going to tell about why DevOps makes sense for companies. So how could they improve their performance? And asking the right questions. So what it's really good for.
Okay, good. Thanks for having me here today. It's hard to see you guys, just in case I do something like that. I hope we get a great day with a lot of great talks. Who learned something today? Hands up. Wow, that's great, awesome. Just shortly about me, as I told you, my background is programmer. I'm a bit rusty, but still, let's say I'm a clean coder. I love doing test-driven development, delivering very short increments in time. What I really hate is actually walls. So walls between silos, people telling me what not to do, things like that. I'm a German, but maybe not I'm so typical, right? I hate roles. I hate being pressed in a role and being told, you're not allowed to do the following, right? That's something I don't like at all, right? Don't put me in a box. What I really like is establishing continuous delivery, continuous deployment. So for a couple of years, I was running around and had my iPad, was giving it to someone, would you like to press the deploy to the production button? And some people dared, yes, I do. Some people say, oh no, I'm scared, right? But for me, that was an extremely good experience because, deployment wasn't a problem. We just pressed the button. And this button worked. Of course, there was a lot of very, very hard work behind setting up everything behind the button. And what I really love to do is also finding out what the user needs and how to address it. Now about you. Who in this room loves DevOps? Please put your hands up and keep them up. Oh, it's not everyone. We have to convince a few more. So please keep your hands up, please. So for the next question, when your answer is no, put your hand down. If your answer is yes, keep it up. Who is so convinced that DevOps will make her company more successful? Okay, in a few cases, I see a few hands going down, but we still have a lot of hands up. So next question, we do this similar. You keep your hand up in case the answer is yes. Who is convinced that the management of her company is able to explain the benefits of doing DevOps? Oh, we lost a few hands. There's something to do, right? So we really have to explain the benefits. The people which have the hand up, could I ask you to stand up? Good. For everyone else, remember those guys. Remember them, right? Try to catch them afterwards. They seem to know something that's really to be learned. Thanks a lot, guys. So now we would like to talk about improvements in companies, right? Most companies actually think about improving some kind of, right? And we have actually a lot of publications which are telling about DevOps could improve something, and quite often you would find it like that. This is just a random example. So DevOps could increase efficiency. When we do a Google search for stuff like that, we find out there's 500,000 entries. 500,000 entries with DevOps and efficiency, and there's actually much less for DevOps and effectiveness. So we already heard a few things about Germans today, right? People think we are punctual, organized. I just learned yesterday that in a German archive, a very, very important document for this country was found, right? The Declaration of Independence. So some Germans seem to be organized. Some Germans. I don't know if it's true for me. And also, there's a saying that Germans are very, very efficient people, right? They do something, they do it very quick, and they're super efficient. To tell you something, for quite a while, I had no clue what the difference is between effectiveness and efficiency. And I don't know if it's true for many people. For sure, it was true for me, right? I used them as synonyms. Efficient, effective, it's basically the same thing. It's just going to be better. And after I learned what the difference is, I also found many publications where people basically have no clue about the difference, right? And as Martin said, we have to do our homework. We should be good craftsmen, right? We have to get things right. Which also means when we're using a term, it would probably help to understand its definition. So let's look at standard definitions for it. When we look it up at Wikipedia, we find effectiveness is the degree to which an objective is achieved. So we have to have an objective. Unless we have an objective, it's very difficult to talk about effectiveness. And effectiveness is expressed in contrast to efficiency without actually a reference to costs or resources. Which means we have, on one hand, we have metrics like costs, resources, number of people, whatever. And on the other hand, we have, do we achieve our goal? It might be a binary answer, yes, we achieved or we failed. Sometimes it might be a degree to which we achieved the goal. We could express this as the difference between doing the right thing, which is effectiveness, and doing the things right. And sometimes also doing the things fast, which is efficiency. Now, I pretty much believe in, beside test-driven development, also in behavior-driven development, especially in the form of specification by examples, which means I don't believe in acceptance criteria in case you don't have examples, right? Because we cannot check our understanding without talking about an example. Let's check a few examples and come up with a common understanding. Let's say we are a photographer. We are asked to produce a cover picture for a magazine. Okay, that's usually one shot, right? There's a magazine, it has a cover, we need just one shot. Very likely there's a topic given to us, right? It should be for the summer, something like this. So it's some kind of specified, there's an acceptance criteria. We probably know about the expected style and those kind of things. So what would be effective? So for the photographer, effective means that the customer, the magazine, is buying the picture. Furthermore, there might be something else. Readers actually like it, right? And efficient, this would mean something like the number of pictures the photographer took, right? Might be a metric. It also might be the amount of time investment. It might be the budget invested, right? All those kind of things. And we put it on a quadrant. There's a perfect spot where we have high efficiency and where we have high effectiveness. So this is the perfect spot. What would this be? How many pictures do we take for that? 1, exactly. 0 would be bad, 1 is good. We take 1 picture and we go home, it takes me 1 minute. Okay, is it likely to happen? Actually, it's super risky, right? It's a very good spot, but it's very risky, which means we actually have to operate in a different area, right? Which means we probably better look for the sweet spot where it's efficient enough in some kind of constraints, but we actually aim for being effective. Next example. Let's say my car has a problem, a flat tire. So what is my goal? My goal is to repair myself the wheel. No, actually it's wrong, right? That's not my goal. My goal is to have a car that I can drive. Oh, interesting. Then there's a couple of different solutions available. I don't know about the constraints. I want to drive again, and I have maybe some budget available. Maybe I have time constraints, right? Maybe I have to leave in 5 minutes. Oh, then I better look for car sharing. Then I take the cost for car sharing. Something like that. All taken into account. And of course, this is all dependent on the particular context we have. So far, I guess those examples are quite natural. But in some companies, actually, it's becoming weird. What a lot of companies did is weird, especially with their ask for efficiency. Let's assume we have customer support. A usual company like Amazon has customer support. So what would be effective customer support? It's a customer some kind of happy? Yeah. Right? So the customer is usually calling because there's a problem to solve or a question to be answered. Right? So the customer wants this question to be answered and answered quickly and with a response that the customer likes. On the other hand, what are actually customer support departments are measured with, usually? And on this list, we have those kind of things like customer calls per hour. We have number of customer support employees, those kind of things, so your cost structure. There's another one which actually I like more, that's the waiting time, right? How many minutes is someone waiting to have his call answered? And which means, what is the solution for most customer support employees when they're working in a system are measured for something like this? What happens? Calls are short, calls are long? Short. They go for short calls, right? And they give answers, and they have scripts for the answers. This might work in a lot of cases, especially in case a company is saying, yeah, no problem, we take back your broken helicopter, right? Right? In this case, it's very easy, then the customer is happy. But in case you can say, you're already flying it for 4 days? Oh, sorry, we cannot take it back. The customer will hate it. And probably you would have to go on longer to explain it, and then the customer would accept it. But due to that you have those kind of metrics, you would decide very differently. Which means how we are measuring a system, we are changing the system, and we are forming the system. There's actually one company which is just turning around. That's Suppos. For instance, they have as an example, they don't look for short calls and fast response time. No, they actually already they are publishing what was the longest call ever. Right? And someone had a call for, I forgot the number, 3 hours? Or something like this. Was crazy, right? Crazy. This customer support person couldn't talk to someone else for 3 hours. It's insane. Just handing one customer calls is 1/3 call, 0.33 calls per hour. No, my God. But will this customer return? Sure. This is a customer for lifetime. This is a super happy customer. So this makes a lot of sense. And now talk about IT operations. What are we usually measured? What's usually measured? Availability. Right? Standard availability metrics. We might have even SLAs around that. We might have metrics regarding security. Then here are some metrics regarding lean metrics like cycle time. How long does it take us to deliver something from idea to production and from starting development to production? How long does it take us to fix a bug? What about other cases like scaling up our cluster, scaling down? How long does it take us to set up a new test environment? It's all nice stuff to measure. Usually, when we have the traditional distinction between dev and ops, the weird thing is the upper part is assigned to operations, whereas the lower part is assigned is a metric for development. And then those departments actually have fights between each other, right? Because of the goals given, they have a goal conflict. That's pretty difficult to handle. Of course, we have to watch out if those are vanity metrics. What we actually aim for is, are we successful with our business? Do we have happy customers? So when we would compare a DevOps approach to this kind of more classical approach, I actually found out, well, that might be quite difficult to do. And actually also, the lines of the table are missing. I'm missing some kind of data. I never ever saw traditional operations department which had no problems to operate. What I usually saw is a classical operations department which was pretty understaffed. And then a lot of weird things happen, right? They are very good with dealing with availability, SLAs, security. You have your experts, right? That's what you're very, very strong with. That's your knowledge. But quite often, for instance, then you have too many production incidents at the same time, well, something will suffer. So that's a problem. When we look at stuff like cycle time, we are much better with having the DevOps approach, right? Because inside my team, when I have operations and development and QA, right, and QA in the same team, I can manage my capacity myself. I don't have to play this game with asking this manager and that manager. It goes up and goes down to the next manager, you know the game. And you know what quite often the answer is? Your product is not important enough. That's a very bad answer when you're in a product development team. And you never want to hear it. Did anyone here in the room heard from Amazon, your product is not important enough? We don't support it? We don't have servers for you? I guess no one, unless you ask for 1 million servers. I guess many people heard it about from their own IT departments. Also for scaling, there are benefits. But take a look at cycle time slightly. Do you know this expression, airplane on ground? So it happens when an airplane cannot operate and they have to ask for parts, and there's a label, airplane on ground. That means it's super important to bring this part to the airplane. Unless we lose, I don't know, per day, 200,000 US dollars, something like that, right? It's quite expensive. And sorry, that's the same with our development team, right? Actually, we cannot let our development team wait. It has impact to let wait our development team. And why is that? I guess you all know this kind of hockey stick curve, right? So over time, the costs of dealing, let's say, with problems and defects is increasing. Obviously, it's increasing. And actually, it's increasing like crazy. And then there is this green area here, which is quite nice. And actually, we even have jumps of that one, right? Because when we deploy to production, it's much, much harder to do. And then there is, when we always have late feedback, it's very, very expensive, which means not a good spot to be in. So we actually, where we would like to be is this green spot, right? We would like to be there. Because when we can operate much faster, or can operate much cheaper, which means we can do much more with the available time. And that means we can deliver far more stuff for the business to be successful. I guess you guys saw this kind of model from Henning Knieberg, where he's talking about autonomy versus alignment. Some hands up who didn't saw this model beforehand? Okay, just a few. Yeah, and actually here there is this nice little, there's this nice little spot where we have a high autonomy for the team, so the team can decide, for instance, on how to do certain things. But actually, it's very much aligned with the company goals. So we would like to be in this upper right quadrant. That's where we would like to be in. So what we do in our companies usually, right? We ask for a lot of things regarding efficiency. I guess I heard a lot of things like asking for synergy effects. Yeah, your DevOps model is quite fine, but what about the synergy effect? Did you thought about that? You know, if someone is approaching you like that, you know, oh, something very bad is going to happen. They're going to merge the operations people from one team with the people from another team. And that's exactly what makes us losing the focus. So we might talk about experts should do expert work, right? Having good utilization of experts. That's all very, very dangerous and asking for the cost savings. Whereas there are other companies which are doing different things. For instance, especially if there's a bank like this, the Swedish Svenska Handelsbanken, and they really use this model that the locals have better knowledge about their customer base, right? Someone in northern Sweden might understand the local people much better than someone in Stockholm, because people in Stockholm have no clue about northern Sweden. Yeah, so we always have to make a choice between efficiency and effectiveness. And let's say, when we look at this nice little model, it looks like, yeah, it doesn't matter where we go first, right? It doesn't matter at all. Left or right, it's nothing. But it depends on our situation of our company, right? When we're looking for the market fit, we didn't quite find it, we have to be super fast with going there. We have to be effective. And this means, can you see that actually? When you go for effectiveness first, you could climb up the ladder much higher than in case we go for efficiency. We might use this market opportunity. It might be just too late. Yeah, give me 5 minutes. My clock is actually showing something different. Just let me finish with one story. For one team I was working with, we established continuous delivery, continuous deployment. And there was a vice president who had a great idea about a feature. And he talked to the product owner, and then the product owner said, yeah, Don, that's a great idea. I put it to the backlog, and let me discuss it with my guys. I come back to you. The discussion happened on Monday, and he said, I will come back to you on Wednesday. Good. On Thursday, Markus gave Don a call and told him, yeah, Don, yeah, sorry, I'm so sorry. I know, I promised for Wednesday, and now it's Thursday, now it's available. And Don asked, okay, right away. So when it will be available? And Don expected the answer in 7 months, in 9 months, something like that. And Markus said, Don, it's delivered. It's there, it's out there. Don, what? It's delivered? How could that happen? Yeah, and Markus said, we're very sorry, we messed up our deployment. That's why we're too late for 1 day, but we already delivered it. And it was really an eye-opener for this vice president. And then he started actually challenging other people. He challenged other teams. Other teams told him always, it takes us 4 months to deliver. And then he was telling you, those guys, they delivered in a few days. Can you do this as well? He said, okay, yeah, you can't in general. But can you do it just once? Can you show me? And this changed a lot in the organization, right? Yeah, so my advice to you is try to establish the good ideas that you hear. Try to find a small scale, find a small product, find a niche where to get started. Have your success stories. Try to reach a success. And when you reach a success, right, you tell the story, and then you hopefully convince more people with it. Thanks a lot.